The sport of bobsleigh consists of driving a sled at almost 100 miles an hour through 12 to 20 corners at breakneck speeds, driving a sled that can weigh up to 630 kilograms. The skill of driving a bobsleigh is a complex and detailed task that would take days to explain, but let's have a look at how bobsleigh drivers prepare to go down the ice. My name's Axel Brown, I am an Olympic bobsleigh pilot, so I'm in a good position to walk you through it. So let's waste no time, let's get straight into it. Let's go. Standing at the top of a bobsleigh track can be terrifying. Doesn't matter if you've done 1,000 runs or it's your first ever run, that mile of ice should intimidate you. It's been a personal ethos of mine that if at any point I feel completely comfortable with the track, that's possibly a time to reevaluate, because you need to be going into that with a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety and respect for the track, because if you're completely comfortable, that's when mistakes happen, or it's when you start to slow down. So I find you need to go into that track with real respect for the beast of ice that's waiting for you. But at the same time, you've got to be absolutely prepared to go down the track and prepared to react and preempt and keep everybody in the sled safe. So how do bobsledders prepare to go down the track? I have my own personal methods, which is what I'll tell you about now, but everyone does things a little bit differently, and a lot of people have a similar thing. So the first thing that almost every bobsleigh pilot will do is visualize. Now this is completely mandatory, because in a bobsleigh track, when you're traveling that fast, if you try and react to the corners, you're too late. In 9 times out of 10, you're traveling far too fast to react to what's happening in front. You need to know what's going on in your sled, know what's going on in the track, where you are, and importantly, where you're heading. So in order to do this, we have to learn the tracks intricately before we go down. That consists of a couple of things, but mainly a track walk, which you'll do certainly when you're at a new track. You'll do that several times before you go down. But we generally do it every morning before sliding, just to see what the ice is like, see what the conditions are like, and see if anything's changed. There can be build-ups of ice, there can be abscesses in the ice, which will affect how you drive and affect your speed ultimately. But then as we're getting closer to actually sliding, we have to go over those tracks in our mind. So if you were to stand at the top of a bobsleigh track right before any major race, you'll see every driver doing something that looks almost like a rain dance or something. You'll see us doing these kinds of motions, and what that is the drivers visualizing the corners. So you're thinking yourself through the track so that when you're there, it's right in the front of your mind. Because like I said, if you're trying to react and panic your way down, you're going to be slow, and you're probably going to be quite dangerous as well. So you visualize those corners, you make sure they're right in the front of your mind, so that when you're hurtling down, it's right there, it's all present. Now there's other things that athletes will do to prepare. I do something which I've not seen any other bobsleigh pilot do, and that's solve a Rubik's Cube. So I find that solving a Rubik's Cube, and I'm relatively fast at it, but I'm nothing crazy. I can do one of these in about a minute. But I find that solving a Rubik's Cube hits the same parts of my mind that going down the track does. I find that it's a lot of pattern recognition. It's a case of applying the right moves at the right time, knowing those and doing them fast in your hands. And I find that that triggers the same parts of the brain for me that driving down does. I know the corners that are coming up. I know the moves that need to happen. And I find that that really gets me firing right before a bobsleigh run. The other thing is one of these, little reaction ball. Now I said you don't want to react in the track, and that's true in the moment, but you need to be able to preempt, and you need to be really thinking really on the ball. So you've got little things like reaction balls. You can do tennis ball drop tests with a member of your team, that kind of thing, that really just get you firing and get you moving fast mentally. Because we've already done a physical warm-up ready for the push, so I think it's really important to do a mental warm-up so that when you're in the track, you're right there. And you see F1 drivers do the exact same thing. Now, as someone that used to be in the back of the sled, I know that it's super important to have trust in your pilot and to trust that they're doing all the necessary preparations. So I take pride in the fact that everyone on my team knows that I am going into every single run as mentally prepared and as physically prepared as possible. And it's every good pilot's job to do the exact same thing, not only for themselves, but for their team, to know that you're absolutely prepared and doing everything you can right before you enter the track and put your lives on the line realistically. Well, I hope that was a fun little insight into how bobsleigh pilots and how bobsledders prepare for a run. And we try and keep things the same. I did the exact same thing with my Rubik's Cube and my visualizations before the first run of the season and before my last run at the Olympic Games. And I think it's important to keep those things the same. And I think a lot of athletes you'll find, regardless of the sport, will do similar preparations. That's just how I prepare. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit like and subscribe down below if you've enjoyed this and want to see more bobsleigh content. Regardless, again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.